I found this story where it shouldn't have been, and once you hear it, it doesn't let go.
The first voice came through at 11:43, just after the rain got heavy enough to drown the distant guns. I remember the time because by then I had already checked the wire twice, reset the knobs once, and told myself at least 100 times that the bunker was empty except for me, the radio, and the dead, 3 nights earlier. Our forward trench had been shelled into black mud, and the men stationed there had vanished. Under fire so violent it shook dust from the ceiling of every bunker along the line. I had heard some of them screaming over coms before the signal snapped. I had written their names into the log myself, confirmed lost, no response, presumed dead. So when the headset crackled and a familiar voice whispered, "Present," I nearly tore the thing off my ears. I'm Mr. D, and you are listening to Mr. D Stories. Most of you listening to my stories are not subscribed yet, so please like and subscribe to hear more from Bloody Chapter. The storm above me hammered the earth like fists on a coffin lid, and I stared at the old field radio as though it had just spoken with its own mouth. Then the transmission came again, weak and wet with static. "Private Elias Van," I said without thinking, because that was the name on the top page of the casualty list in front of me. A pause. Then, in a voice I recognized from a dozen nervous midnight shifts, came the reply, "Present." My hands went cold. Elias had died in the trench collapse. Everyone knew it. I had heard Sergeant Mercer trying to dig him out before the line went dead. I told myself it was enemy mimicry, a trick, some intercepted recording thrown back at us to rattle the night crews. But then I read the second name, Corporal Yannick. The radio hissed, popped, and answered in Yannick's sharp little voice, "Present." I read a third name, then a fourth. Every one of them answered. Men from the same trench, men buried for 3 days beneath churned earth and rainwater. By the time I reached the seventh name, sweat was running down my back despite the cold. The bunker suddenly felt too small, the concrete walls too close, the dim red lamp over the map table too much like an eye refusing to blink. I stopped the roll call and backed away from the desk, but the speaker crackled on its own. A new voice came through, slower, lower, "Sergeant Mercer. Do not open the door." I froze. "Mercer." I whispered, leaning toward the radio, though I hated myself for it. Static scraped the speaker. Then he said, "It followed us out of the trench." Something in the way he said it made the air in my lungs feel heavy. Not fear, not exactly, recognition. Like some buried part of me had been waiting to hear those words all night. "What followed you?" I asked. The line whined in the background, behind Mercer's voice. I thought I heard breathing, many mouths, too close to the microphone. "It wears us now," he said. "It learned our names." I stumbled back so hard my chair crashed over. Above me the rain kept falling, thick and steady, drumming on the bunker roof. Then, from somewhere out in the trench line beyond the steel hatch, I heard a voice carry through the storm, faint, human, calling my name. I did not move. My skin tightened all over. The bunker entrance was sealed. The outer slope was a river of mud. No one should have been out there. The radio came alive again, all the dead voices overlapping now, whispering through static, "Do not answer it. Do not let it in. Do not believe the face." My name came again from outside, clearer this time. It was Mercer's voice, calm, familiar. "Open up. It's me." My knees almost gave out. Mercer had been one of the best men in the company. If there was even a chance he'd survived, I could not leave him out there. That was what the thing at the door understood. Not duty, not courage, hope. The hatch handle seemed to stare at me from across the bunker. The voice outside knocked once, then twice, wet knuckles on steel. "Open up," it said again, but now there was something wrong beneath the sound. Something stretched thin, as if several voices were trying to speak through the same throat. The radio erupted with screams, not loud screams, choked ones, buried ones, the kind men make when the dirt is already in their mouths. I clamped the headset tighter to my ears, listening as Mercer forced words through static. "It's inside the trench. It's inside the uniforms. It watched us die. It climbed in after." The knocking stopped. For one blessed second, there was only rain. Then something tapped lightly on the concrete wall to my left. 3 slow knocks from inside it. I turned so fast I nearly slipped. The wall was wet with seepage, nothing more, but the sound came again, from deeper in the concrete, as if fingers were moving through. The earth packed around the bunker. Another tap answered from behind me. Then another, near the floor. Then all at once the walls began to fill with them, soft, polite knocking from every side, surrounding me in the dark like soldiers asking permission to enter. The radio speaker hissed, and every dead man answered roll call without being asked. Present, present, present. Their voices rose into a single, trembling warning. Do not let it know you can hear it. I stopped breathing. The bunker fell silent. Even the rain seemed far away. Then right beside my ear, from the dead radio that no longer had power, a voice I knew better than my own whispered, "Operator." It was my voice, present. They found the tape in a rusted archive box 40 years after the war. Mislabeled as artillery inventory and buried beneath water-damaged records no one had touched in decades. If I had known what was on it, I would have left it there to rot. The box came from an abandoned military depot scheduled for demolition. My job quiet, forgettable. Safe was to catalog whatever survived before the wrecking crews tore the place apart. Most of it was useless paper, shipment logs, casualty revisions, moldy maps, names crossed out by men who were probably dead before the ink dried. But at the bottom of that box sat a reel-to-reel tape marked in fading pencil, Bunker 17 final transmission, do not duplicate. I should have handed it over. I know that now. Instead, I brought it to the restoration room, locked the door, and threaded it onto the old machine. The reel turned. Static filled the speakers. Then a man's voice said, calm as a priest at a funeral, Field Post Bunker 1722 14 hours. Shelling has stopped. Repeat, shelling has stopped. There was something strange about the sentence even then. Something in the way he said stopped, like he did not trust the silence. Outside, in the background I could hear other men moving around, boots scraping concrete, the metallic clink of rifles, someone coughing. One of them laughed too loudly and said they might actually live to see morning. Another muttered, don't say that in here. Then came a long stretch of tape hiss and distant dripping, and I remember leaning closer, almost smiling at how ordinary it all sounded. Men trapped underground, nerves fraying, waiting for dawn, war reduced. Two breathing and bad light. Then the first knock came from the speaker. 3 dull blows, hollow metal, not from inside the bunker, from the outer hatch. Every voice on the tape went quiet at once. Someone whispered, who the hell is that? A second voice answered, no one was out there. Papers rustled, a chair scraped back. Then the first man came on again, but now the calm was gone. 22, 31 hours. There is movement at the sealed hatch. We have not opened. Sergeant Halden is dead. I repeat, Sergeant Halden was killed before sunset. Silence followed that, broken only by breathing and a faint sound like gloves brushing concrete. Then, through the old speaker in my archive room, I heard a voice from outside the bunker door on the tape, clear, firm, commanding, open this hatch, that is, and an order. I felt the hair rise on my arms because even through decades of static, there was something unnaturally sharp about that voice, as though time had preserved it better than the men inside. On the recording, one soldier whispered, that's Halden. Another answered, I saw what was left of Halden. Then the voice outside spoke again. Colder this time. Private Lorne, if you refuse me again, I will report what you did in Brenzig. The men inside the bunker stopped breathing. At least that is how it sounded. The tape itself seemed to hold still. One of them finally said, barely audible, how does it know that? No one answered. The voice at the hatch moved to the next man. Corporal Vess, your wife never saw your final letter because you burned it before mailing. Another breathless silence. Then another soldier. Ketter, you left your brother in the wire and told command he was already dead. It went on like that, name after name, sin after sin, each one spoken in the dead officer's voice as though the thing outside had stood beside them for every shameful moment of their lives. By then I had stopped taking notes. I was just sitting there in the archive room with my hand hovering over the stop button, telling myself I should. Turn it off, telling myself I would, and never moving a muscle. On the tape, someone began to pray. Someone else began sobbing quietly, trying to hide it. Then the hatch shook under a single violent impact from outside, and all at once the men in Bunker 17 broke. Chairs overturned, orders were shouted, a rifle discharged by accident inside the enclosed space, the blast clipping the recording. Into distortion, over the chaos, the dead voice outside laughed softly and said, you locked the wrong side. What came next was the part that still wakes me up. There was no sound of the hatch opening, no hinges, no wheel turning, no rush of wind, and yet one of the voices inside suddenly screamed from far away, as if the room itself had grown longer in a single second. Another man shouted, "Where did he go?" Then one more voice vanished mid-sentence, just cut off, not dragged away, not choked, not shot, simply there, then gone. The remaining soldiers started calling to each other in blind panic. I could hear them stumbling, striking walls, firing into the dark, but the bunker on the tape no longer obeyed normal space. Their voices echoed wrong, stretching too deep, circling back from impossible directions. One cried, "There's another corridor here." There wasn't. A corridor, and then he too disappeared from the recording without a trace. The final minutes were only 3 men breathing in terror, huddled somewhere the microphone barely caught them, whispering that Halden's voice was inside with them now, moving between them though they could not see a body. One begged the others not to say their own names out loud. One started confessing everything he had ever done. As if guilt itself might buy mercy, the last one just kept repeating, "It came in with the silence. It came in with the silence." Then there was a pause so long I thought the tape had ended. I reached toward the machine, and a voice came through the speaker, close enough to feel against my cheek. Not Halden's, not any of the soldiers. Mine, archivist, it whispered. I jerked back so hard my chair slammed into the wall. The tape kept spinning. The voice spoke. Again, using my full name, the name no one at the depot used, the name only my mother used when I was a boy. "You kept listening." I hit stop, the reel slowed, but not the voice. It went on speaking beneath the dying motor, soft and pleased and terribly near. Opened the door. I looked up. The restoration room door was shut, locked just as I had left it. Then someone knocked from the other side. 3 dull blows. Hollow wood. My throat closed. A second knock came, and then a third, each one patient, almost polite, and I understood in that instant what the men in Bunker 17 had learned too late. Some things do not cross into our world through blood or battle or broken earth. Some things enter because they are heard, because they are invited by attention. Because once a voice is given a place inside your head, it no longer needs the door. The knocking came again, followed by a voice that sounded exactly like mine saying, "Present." And if you are hearing this now, then maybe that tape did not end in the archive after all. Maybe stories like this travel the way old signals do, through static, through silence, through the dark between one listener and the next. So thanks for watching, and if you want more stories that stay with you long after the room goes quiet, like and subscribe to Bloody Chapter. But whatever you do tonight, if someone knocks after midnight and speaks in a voice you trust, do not answer.